Hey everyone, it's Star Charger here, the Unicorn Goddess, coming to y'all from my channel, Spoken Openly, where we say it like we mean it. Today I'm bringing y'all the 7th episode in my series about the declassified CIA documents about out-of-body experiences, astral travel, remote viewing, and other subjects related to that. It's a very in-depth paper. The redacted, sanitized copy that we have access to is almost 30 pages long. But like I said, it's the redacted, sanitized copy, so no telling what they kept back for themselves or what new technology or new methodology they have incorporated or the level of sophistication that they may have now, because this was originally written 30 years ago or more, even though, well, like in 1970, so that's almost 50 years ago, even though they recently released it to the public. Okay, there's 6 episodes before this, and there's a lot of stuff in this document. Everything from hypnosis to transcendental meditation to the mechanisms of how those things work, how they affect the human. There's stuff about consciousness, about raising your consciousness, the scientific measurements of how you connect your energy field to the earth, an explanation of the physiological changes in your body through the use of meditation and different modalities such as binaural beats or different aids like that, and what happens in your body that causes a change, that causes you to have a mystical experience, how resonating with the earth's magnetic field can help you to almost become one with that magnetic field and to send out a signal across the whole earth, how you can expand your consciousness, basically out-of-body experience or astral travel. Most recently, right before this, it was about how when you get your brain waves high enough at the trough and the peak of the brain wave, you're basically, your consciousness is phasing in and out of this dimension, and how when you get your brain waves going fast enough, it becomes like the clicking in and out becomes so fast, it's like you are just in the other dimension. There's things about downloading information from higher dimensions and from the source or the higher consciousness. A lot of things that great inventors and scholars from times before have mentioned, but maybe didn't explain all the way. So I really urge you, if you'd like to know more, please go back and watch the other episodes. They're only 10-15 minutes long, most of them. I try to keep them short. So having said that, here we go. We are about halfway through the document, and we are on subheading 20, Subatomic Particles. The behavior of subatomic particles provides an interesting example of the phenomenon of, quote, clicking out, discussed in the preceding paragraphs. In an article prepared for Science Digest magazine, Dr. John Gliedman mentions the way in which subatomic particles communicate with each other once their energy fields become entrained as a result of colliding with each other. The communication concerned is, of course, postulated to be occurring during the, quote, click out phase in the oscillation of the energy fields comprising the subatomic particles concerned. It is this cause which accounts for the cross-communication at what, in terms of time-space velocities, would seem to involve speeds in excess of light. In reality, Einstein's theory of relativity is not being invalidated, but rather, the communication concerned is taking place outside the dimension of time-space to which the theory of relativity is strictly confined. Specifically, Dr. Gliedman tells us, quote, quantum theory postulates a kind of long-range Siamese twin effect whenever two subatomic particles collide and then go their different ways. Even when the particles are halfway across the universe from each other, it says they instantaneously respond to each other's actions, and in so doing, they violate relativity's ban on faster-than-light velocities, end quote. Indeed, regarding attempts to quantify what is known about the behavior of energy in dimensions apparently outside of time-space, Bentov speaks about, quote, courageous physicists who are working on hypothetical particles called tachyons, which can now move at speeds higher than light. The speed of tachyon starts just above the speed of light and ranges all the way to infinite velocities. 21. Dimensions in between. Now that we have postulated the legitimacy of the assertion that the energy forms which compose consciousness can move beyond the time-space dimensions, we need to turn our attention to the energy forms which inhabit those dimensions between time, space, and the absolute. In so doing, we may better perceive the form that, quote, reality assumes when we encounter it in those intermediate dimensions. In this context, Bentov tells us that, quote, the causal relationship between events breaks down, movements become jerky rather than smooth. Time and space may become, quote, grainy or, quote, chunky. Perhaps a piece of space can be traversed by a particle of matter in any direction without necessarily being synchronized with a piece of time. In short, a pair of events will occur in either time or space, the pair not being connected causally, but by a random fluctuation. What Bentov means is that inside the dimension of time-space, where both concepts apply in a generally uniform way, there is a proportional relationship between them. A certain space can be covered by energy moving in either particle or waveform in a certain time, assuming a specific velocity virtually anywhere in the time-space universe. The relationship is neat and predictable. However, in the intermediate dimensions beyond time-space, the limitations imposed on energy to put it into a state of oscillating motion are not uniform as they are in our physical universe. A myriad of various distortions and incongruities are thus likely to be encountered, such that our nice, neat assumptions concerning the relationship between time and space as we know it in this dimension do not apply. But even more important, access is open to both the past and the future when the dimension of current time-space is left behind. Number 22. Special status, out-of-body experience. Although human consciousness can, with enough practice, move beyond the dimension of time-space and interface with other energy systems in other dimensions, the entire process is appreciably enhanced if that consciousness can be detached in large measure from the physical body before such interface is attempted. Once an individual becomes proficient in the techniques of out-of-body movement and then reaches the point where he is able to break out of time-space while out of his body, he gains the advantage of clicking out part of his enhanced consciousness while starting from a base located much closer to the dimension with which he wishes to communicate. In other words, since he is starting from a point much, quote, higher up, to use an analogy from the time-space context, that part of his consciousness involved in, quote, clicking out will have much more time to interact in dimensions beyond time-space because less time is required to traverse the intervening layers. Moreover, once the individual is able to project his consciousness beyond time-space, that consciousness would logically tend to entrain its frequency output with the new energy environment to which it is exposed, therein greatly enhancing the extent to which the individual's altered consciousness may be further modified to achieve a much heightened point of focus and a much refined oscillating pattern. As a result, A self-reinforcing process should ensue whereby the farther consciousness in the out-of-body state can be projected beyond the time-space dimension, the more its level of energy output would be enhanced, thus promoting the potential for still further travel. The tentative conclusion to be drawn is that the out-of-body state may be regarded as an extremely effective way of accelerating the process of enhancing consciousness and of interfacing with dimensions beyond time-space. If the practitioner of the gateway technique has a choice of concentrating on achieving and exploiting the out-of-body experience as opposed to concentrating his full efforts on expanding his consciousness exclusively from a physical base, the former would appear to promise much faster and more impressive success than does the latter. Alright, so what they're saying is there's out-of-body experience and then there's out-of-body experience. So they're saying that according to their studies and experiments and the information that they found, you can have a normal or lower level or run-of-the-mill out-of-body experience by expanding your consciousness while still in your body, like where the point of expansion is coming from your body, and leave your body that way. Or you can raise your frequency, leave your body, leave from Earth, leave from this dimension, and use the base point or establish a base point with just your consciousness or just your spirit in a higher dimension, I guess as far as you could safely go from your body, and then using that as the jump point, expand your consciousness from that point and reach an even higher dimension. And they're saying that both are possible, and if you had to choose one, choosing the one where you expand from a point outside of your body will get you to a higher dimension than just expanding from your body. This stuff is fascinating. I'm telling y'all, the more that we read, the more fascinating it becomes. Now, I'm going to let y'all digest that for a while, and I'm going to stop this video here. I am so happy that I get to be a conduit of this information. I'm delighted to bring it to y'all. I hope that y'all can receive it. Please like and share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Please comment down below. Give me your feedback. I appreciate y'all so much. Much love to all my mystical, magical, wonderful, cosmic, multidimensional unicorns. And until the next time we meet, here is to your empowerment, your evolution, your enlightenment, and the expansion of your consciousness. Alright, y'all. Star Charger out.